Hello, we should do Hyperliquid today. Okay, welcome back everybody to Hyperliquid Basics V2. I'm excited today to talk about Hyperliquid. Today we're gonna do the Hyperliquid Basics V2 update. Similar topics like last time, but a lot has changed since then. So today we're gonna talk about what is Hyperliquid, the HYPERCORE, HyperEVM, and HyperEVM tokens. Of course, also we need to talk about the buyback and the burn mechanisms, the different builder code apps, the state of HIP-3 and HIP-4 coming up, the HYPE token, and the public vehicles that are currently buying HYPE. I also want to share some tools and research with you, and in the end, we need to address some critics and FUD. A lot of topics. This will take some time, so grab yourself a drink and enjoy. If there are any topics you know already, feel free to skip them. I will put timestamps to make it easy for you. And yeah, let's get started with the first question. What is Hyperliquid? Most of you know already the answer. Hyperliquid is the blockchain to house all finance. We have seen this vision becoming a reality over the last few months. And it's not just like this vision, we see it clearly in the numbers. I want to share with you here the Hyper Screener dashboard, which is really helpful. We can see we have 1 million in total users on Hyperliquid. That did 4 trillion in volume, and that's just really impressive in numbers. But here's something I find even more impressive. It's the fact that Hyperliquid is still growing. We can see here about 2K in new daily users for Hyperliquid. And if you compare those numbers, you can see we have like those 2K, maybe there was a peak of 5K on February 5th. And if you compare those numbers that are on par with back in July 25 and also December 24. But what's the difference to those two times? Back then we had a lot of interest in crypto. Right now there's zero interest in crypto, but still Hyperliquid user numbers are growing. Why is that? It has a lot to do with HIP-3. We will discuss this later, but first we need to talk about HYPERCORE. HYPERCORE, as you can imagine, is the core component of Hyperliquid. And it's like the probably the feature you are already using or familiar with. That's the platform where you can trade perps and spot on everything. To get there, you simply go to hyperliquid.xyz, and you can see here we have Bitcoin USDC as perp, but also you can buy it as spot. So you can buy spot crypto assets and also trade perps on crypto, but not just crypto. Now we also have different equities. We have commodities like gold and silver. You can even trade pre-IPO stuff. Like if you check here with ventures, you can trade SpaceX pre-IPO stock, or even stuff like Anthropic and OpenAI. So a lot of ways to speculate in crypto, but also outside of crypto. That's why Hyperliquid is becoming the blockchain to house all finance. So we can trade spot and also perps on Hyperliquid. It's important to notice the spot part, because even if you're not actively trading crypto, Hyperliquid is the best venue for you to buy spot crypto and withdraw it directly to your cold storage. Besides trading, you can use the Earn tab to put some USDC and USDH. USDH is the native stablecoin of Hyperliquid. You can earn some APY. Right now, it's pretty low with only 0.1% and 0.06% in APY. This is nothing compared to the numbers you will get on HyperEVM, but still it's a good idea to put at least some money on here, because people are speculating on the season 3 airdrop, on the point season 3. And there is the idea that if you put money in here, you will get like a special multiplier for your points. So that's the earning part. Next feature is the vault feature directly on Hyperliquid. So here we have the feature where we can put USDC and earn yield. Here it depends greatly on which vault you put. You have the protocol vaults and the user vaults. On the protocol vaults, we have the Hyperliquidity provider vault, where you basically put USDC and become a market maker, or like one of the market makers on Hyperliquid, because this is the community-owned vault. Of course, provides liquidity to Hyperliquid with multiple market making strategies. Right now, it's about 1% APR, but this goes up and down a lot. Yeah, it really depends on the long time horizon. You can see you will make money with this, but there have been times where, of course, this also goes down. It depends mostly on the fact if traders on Hyperliquid are making a lot of money or not. Usually, if traders are rather losing money, you will make more money. And if traders are becoming really profitable, you will probably lose money in this HLP vault. Yeah, those vaults come at a risk, but if you don't want to trade yourself, I think it's a good idea to check out the vaults. Besides the HLP, there are the different user vaults, and you can see they have like different sizes. The biggest one has 7 million in TVL. It's the Growy HF, and always if you check the vault, you can check the description, see their strategy, see what they're doing, if it's like automated or quant strategy, or if it's more like discretionary. Personally, I prefer the quant and automated strategies compared to discretionary traders on Hyperliquid. But yeah, pick yourself the vault. It's important to know that the timing plays a big role on here. So not just go with the high APR and throw money at it, because if you throw money at something, if the APR is really high, chances are you will end up losing money in that vault, because usually if the money the vault makes goes down after like a big run up, like a high APR, you will end up losing money in the short term. On the long term, those vaults tend to make money, but yeah, it's like way more risky compared to like to the HLP vault probably, but you also can make more money. So personally, I like the systemic strategy stuff, like the hyper growth and the long short grids. And I also like the long hype and Bitcoin short garbage vault. Usually, you can just go through those vaults and see what they're doing, even if you don't put money in there, just for you to get an idea on maybe your trading style or improve your investing. So this is quite interesting to look at. Everybody can launch their own vault. You only need $100, and you get to charge 10% in performance fee. But I think you also need to own at least, I think, 10% of the assets of the vault all the time. So yeah, if you're interested in that, check the documentation. And yeah, that's the vault feature for Hyperliquid. Besides that, we have the native staking, where you can put Hype, earn some staking yield. Right now it's 2% in APR. Pick your validator. It doesn't matter that much, to be honest. It's more like a personal preference. So depending on maybe which products or teams you want to support with your hype, you pick that one and stake with them. You should know that there is a 7-day cool-off period with the native staking. So if I stake now and want to withdraw and unstake my hype, I need to wait 10 days for it to cool off. You can fix this by using LSTs like Kinetic, but that's not native staking. That's done with the HyperEVM. So yeah, that's coming later. So native staking, you have 7-day cool-off period. That's about it for the HyperCore. We have also referral feature where I can refer people, get a code, make some money on their fees. If you want to support my work, you can use TR Ventures as your code. So yeah, that's about it for the HyperCore. So now you know the feature, but maybe the question is, okay, that's nice, I can do that, but how do I get money on there? There are different ways to onboard or on-ramp money to Hyperliquid. Here, it really depends on how active you've been before in crypto. If you already have Binance or other centralized exchange account, it's easy. You just send USDC from there to your Hyperliquid wallet. If you don't have that and you're completely new, you're getting started in crypto and Hyperliquid is your first experience, you need to on-ramp cash to Hyperliquid. There are different ways to do that. Personally, I like the Liquid Bank from Hyperbeat. Right now, you can see here, they are the cheapest version. For like US dollar, you pay 0.12% plus 25 cents. And for euro, you pay 0.2% and €1 fee to on-ramp euro Hyperliquid. So that's by far the cheapest way. You need to KYC to be able to use this feature, but that's the case for all on-ramps. There are no on-ramps for fiat money where you don't need to KYC. Right now, Liquid Bank is still, you need an access code, so it's still in private beta. They have been kind enough to give me 10 access codes, so if you want to try it, just comment under the video and I will DM you one of the access codes. Besides Liquid Bank, you can of course use any of the builder code apps like Dixari, Based, Mars, Preemcash, and so on. Most of them work with MoonPay integration, so you need to KYC with MoonPay. Fees are a bit higher on there, but it's also like a bit more convenient. So it really depends of what's your style. If you already own crypto, you don't need any of that. You can just deposit crypto directly with either the Arbitrum bridge or Unit, Hybrid, or D-bridge. So there are many ways. With Unit, you have the benefit that you can use spot assets like Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Plasma, Monad, Zcash, Filecoin, Pump, Bonk, SPX, 00, or Ethereum. That are the assets that are right now supported by Unit. Yeah, so if you want to deposit that, you can use Unit. If you have any other assets, you can use Hybrid or D-bridge to put different assets to Hyperliquid or swap them, for example, to HYPE or USDC. For the account on Hyperliquid, there are also many ways. So usually you can see here, you can connect different wallets or even use an email. So you don't necessarily need to have a wallet to use Hyperliquid. You can trade on Hyperliquid just with an email. If you do that, I would suggest to create a special email just for Hyperliquid so you don't mix it with your other email stuff. And please activate FA so it's harder for hackers to get into your account. For the wallet support, you can see here Hyperliquid supports Rabi, MetaMask, Wallet Connect, OKX, and Coinbase wallet that are like the official supported wallets, but there are also other ways to access Hyperliquid if you have any other wallets. So pretty much that about the account setup. We did the lending and the borrowing, we did the staking, and we did the votes. So that's it for HYPERCORE. Next up, we need to talk about HyperEVM. That's where stuff gets a little bit more interesting in terms of features. So with HyperEVM, you can do a lot with your hype. So maybe you are familiar with this concept from Ethereum or Solana, where we have different DeFi apps where you can provide liquidity, where you can do like different styles of credits and borrowing. And that's basically what we also can do on HyperEVM. So right now, HyperEVM is supported by most wallets. You only need to have some HYPE-40 gas. So that's also nice on HyperEVM that all the hype that you use for gas is burned, but you of course need some hype, but it's not that much. So the average transaction is pretty cheap. And for the different EVM applications, we have a lot to discuss. I can't share all applications with you, but here's, I think, a good overview of what you can do on HyperEVM right now. You should be aware that this is changing quite fast. There's a lot of changes and innovation happening around HyperEVM. So that's just what I use. I would say at least once a week, not like every app I use every day. You don't need to use them every day, but like I think that like once a week, I used most of the applications on here. So for landing, you have Hyperland, Felix, and HyperFi. Basically, if you're familiar with Aave on Ethereum, it's the same. Like Hyperland is an Aave fork, basically. Felix and HyperFi operate a bit different. HyperFi has like an Euler license. So I don't want to get too much into detail, but usually you put your hype and borrow against it. Or if you have like Bitcoin or ETH, you can borrow against it on those applications and use the borrowed money to either buy other assets or earn some yield on the borrowed money. Like there are many cool DeFi strategies. For institutional assets, I would love to show with you Theo. It's quite a nice way if you're interested in getting T-bills on chain or also gold-backed stable coins. So there's Theo. For yield, beyond that, we have Hyperbit that offer different vault strategies for you. It's kind of automating DeFi for you, so you don't have to provide all on your own. So they kind of automate some stuff. Also, Harmonix, they do automated vaults, and Liminal, they help you with funding rate farming. There's been some, like I would say, discussions on how accurate the liminal data actually is. So you should be careful with that, but I still wanted to put it on here because it's a nice new approach to make it easier for people to farm the funding rates on Hyperliquid. So next up, we have liquid staking. So before, you learned that with native staking, you have the cool-off period of 7 days. Liquid staking fixes this for you. So you can just stake your HYPE for K-Hype, which is the liquid staking HYPE from Kinetic, which is also by far the biggest liquid staking product on Hyperliquid and also the biggest HyperEVM product. So yeah, you get K-Hype for your HYPE and earn yield on the K-Hype, and also you can use the K-Hype on other DeFi apps. For example, you can borrow against it on Hyperland, for example, and make more from your money. You can do similar strategies with Volantis. Also, they have a nice liquid staking product. If you want to swap your HYPE for other tokens, which I wouldn't do, but you can do that, you can use Project X HyperSwap. And if you want to just aggregate all the different DEXs on Hyperliquid, you should use liquid.ag. With those different AMMs, you get, basically a Uniswap on HyperEVM. So you can swap tokens for like if you have Bitcoin or USDC, you want to swap it for Hype or whatever, you can do it on there. And you can also provide liquidity on Project X and HyperSwap to earn some APY. You should be aware that, of course, there is stuff like impermanent loss and other risks that are connected with those strategies. But if you are like a DeFi farmer, you should definitely check out those projects. For the NFT fans on here, you should check TripTrade. That's where the NFT trading for Hyperliquid NFTs is happening. It's pretty much dead right now, to be honest. There's not much going on in NFTs on Hyperliquid, but I'm positive that this will come back once hype and like the overall crypto market is performing better. For options, we have risk and derive. On risk, you can basically sell covered call options and cash secured puts. And on derive, we have you can buy options, calls, and also puts on hype. And for privacy, we have silhouette that shield your trading on Hyperliquid. I know this was a lot of talking, a lot of theory. If you want to get a deep dive of any of these apps, just put it in the comments and I can do like a special video showing how to use those kind of applications, but it would be way too much to like do a deep dive in every of the in all of those apps in just this video. But that's the HyperEVM overview in terms of what's out there. If you are not in this list, it doesn't mean that your product is bad. It just means that there are too much to share. So if you feel like I missed your product, also just comment it and maybe pitch why your product should be included in the next video. So we have seen some HyperEVM tokens. There was also a lot of speculation around HyperEVM airdrops. I also was one of the guys basically farming HyperEVM and in the hope that we would see some great airdrops from those HyperEVM projects. This didn't work out for the most part. Like Kinetic was a good one, but besides that, TGEs of those HyperEVM projects rather underperformed. And I think there are many reasons for that, but probably the main reason is that Hype itself is just a really, really good token with a great token model, which makes it hard for all the other projects that launch for people do not sell off the token that they get for the airdrop against Hype. So even Kinetic, which is really a good product, got sold off pretty harshly on the airdrop. And yeah, we have seen the Hyperland TGE. We've seen before that HyperSwap and other TGEs with Harmonix. All good products, great teams, but it's really hard for their tokens to perform well. So personally, I'm still bullish on Kinetic, but to be honest, that's pretty much it in terms of HyperEVM tokens. Let's keep going with the next one. And of course, we need to talk about the buyback and the burn. Most of this is still the same. Some small things changed. I think last time we did this video, it was 97% of fees getting burned. Now it's 99% of fees that are used by the assistance fund to buy back HYPE. And back then in the last video, there was a lot of uncertainty around this buyback wallet. A lot of people feared that, okay, now they bought back $1 billion of HYPE. What will happen with this? And here we got a nice Christmas present from the team. And you can see it here on 24th of December 25. The team has, not the team, the validators voted that the assistance fund system has been formally recognized as burned. And you can see a governance vote was based on stake-weighted consensus, with 85% of stake voting for burning, 7% against, and 8% abstaining. There has been a lot of discussion on how good it is to burn the $1 billion compared to using it for like an ecosystem fund or anything else. I would say the burn mechanism is, or like this assistance fund, is necessary for HYPE to be considered equity-like. And it's also the reason why those treasury companies like to buy HYPE. But yeah, if you think there's like a better way to do this, just maybe discuss in the comments. We will see in the future how good this approach was. Regarding the burn, we still have 3 burn mechanisms. They haven't changed. So a lot of the spot fees on Hyperliquid get burned, gas fees on HyperEVM are burned, and also ticker auctions get burned. So if you want to list a spot asset on Hyperliquid or like an HIP-3 ticker, you need to buy that ticker with HYPE, and that gets burned. Right now it's about 500 each, so 500 for the spot ticket and 500 for the HIP-3 ticker. And there is like one auction every 32 hours. So I think a Dutch auction. I'm not sure in the style where it runs down. So every time it doubles from the last price. So if today we buy for 500, tomorrow the auction will start at 1,000 HYPE and go down until someone buys the ticker, and that HYPE gets burned. You can check those on HYPE burn and also on here for the, maybe first for the buyback, you can check directly on here on the HyperScan. That's the wallet, the 0x55 wallet. And as you can see here, this wallet bought back $1.2 billion of HYPE, currently holding 42 million HYPE roughly. You can see the average price being $24. And in theory, this would mean that this wallet is up $260 million on the HYPE position. But honestly, this doesn't matter because it's burned anyway. So some people look at that and say, oh, $24 is the new support price for HYPE, and HYPE can never go lower than that because that's the average entry price from the assistance fund. But it doesn't really matter that much because it's burned anyway. So it's not real like profit or loss, because I mean, it's just HYPE getting out of the supply, which is good in the long term. And it's also not discretionary, like it's always just running up to 10k USDC, and then HYPE is burned. You can see here transaction 3 minutes ago, 300 HYPE was bought for 10k. Like you can see there are many, like it's just automatically buying HYPE. So there's no way for the team to kind of change this or set it like, okay, we want to buy HYPE if it's below 20 or whatever strategy some people would like to see. No, it's just buying HYPE 24/7. And honestly, that's the beauty of it. Yeah, there's no other product in crypto doing it like HYPE does it. So that's it. You can also check the Hyper screener for the revenue if you want to like get a nice overview in terms of the average buybacks on a day. You can see here right now we had like last few days with like 2 million, 1.7, 1.8. 700K right now on a Sunday. So it really depends on the day, but overall you can say that we are we're going up with the average dollars amount. Also has a lot to do with HIP-3, but more on that soon. So that's it for the buyback, and for the burn, you can just check hypeburn.fun, and there we have a nice overview, not just of the burn of trading fees, but you can also see like builder stakes, which is also can be considered like it's staked forever more or less. And on the trading fees, we also have like a HyperEVM burn number, so you can see whether like the gas from HyperEVM is also burned. You can see it here if you go to HyperEVM fees on Hyperscreener. You can see on average right now it's about 17K that is burned every day. It's not like a crazy number, but still, 17K dollars of hype is burned just from the HyperEVM gas fees. Yeah, that's the average daily network fees that are burned. So let's keep going with buybacks by the teams. There haven't been like big updates around that. I think many teams are doing this more like discretionary, not talking about it that much. But we have seen not just the official buyback by Hyperliquid, but also teams that are building on Hyperliquid buying hype. So Unit did this with some of the fees. Hyperdrive did it, D2 did it, Base bought some hype from fees once, and Pair Protocol, they bought hype for their treasury and used the hype for their point season to incentive people to trade on Pair. So there are many ways to do this. I think it's a great idea to, if you are building on Hyperliquid, to think about how you could integrate the hype token to boost the like activation of your product or gain new users. Let's keep going with the builder codes. The builder code apps, I think last time we did this video, it was pretty new, a new concept, the builder codes, and it's been quite impressive to see how far this has become or how big this got already. Right now, we have over 600 apps utilizing builder codes. I think about 300 have like active and have a lot of users. And basically, for those of you that aren't familiar with the concept of builder codes, what is builder codes? Builder codes is a feature by Hyperliquid to integrate the Hyperliquid perks on a Hyperliquid platform directly in your application. So you don't need to build all of this liquidity. You tap into billions of dollars of liquidity for free, and you even get to charge on top of it. So there is no like integration fee or anything you have to pay to Hyperliquid. You just use the builder codes and you can charge up to 1% on spot and 0.1% on the perps volume you bring to Hyperliquid. It's very easy to implement. We can see also on the HyperTracker by CoinMarketMan, the like nice builder statistics. You can see here right now, Phantom doing pretty good with 80K in daily revenue. We've also seen here MetaMask, Based, and others coming up. You can see that the 600 number was even outdated, are at 732. Last time I checked was like maybe 1 week ago, it was 600. Growth is pretty insane on here. And yeah, you can see also the size those builder codes already got. So Phantom already did 16 million in revenue just from integrating Hype or Hyperliquid. Based did 13 million, PvP did 7 million, MetaMask did 4 million. So there's a lot of interesting builder code apps, and basically, if you are interested in that, I did a whole thread on the top builder code apps. But to keep it short, either it's the distributional advantage that drives the big users. So Phantom has a lot of users, so it's easy for them to drive $32 billion of volume to Hyperliquid. So if you have the distribution, like those big apps like Phantom, MetaMask, I think Rabby is also on here, Then that's like one angle for builder code apps. Usually they don't drive a lot of new features, so they just integrate perps and that's about it. And then you also have other newcomers that rather think about, okay, what can we build on top of Hyperliquid that Hyperliquid doesn't offer? So there are products like InSilico, which is a more like pro dashboard for traders. With PvP, where you can trade directly in your Telegram account. We have Based, which is a mobile app which integrates Hyperliquid. We have TradFi, where we have different market making bots you can use. Dreamcash, also mobile app, but with USDT support. Yeah, so there's different approaches. Pair protocol, they make it easier for you to do pair trading directly on their platform. Minara is an AI product where you can just chat with with their product and put on trades based on that. Hypersignals makes it easier for you to find great traders and copy them because they put a value, a HyperScore to all the traders on Hyperliquids. Lit trades, they also have like a cool journaling feature and different risk modes, different order types that Hyperliquid natively doesn't have. So as you can see, a lot to talk about, and I could go on and on, but basically just check them out. It's a lot of fun to try those products and see the different features, and the incentive is clearly working. Those builder code apps already made over 65 million or almost $65 million in total revenue, which is pretty insane. And it's all driving growth to Hyperliquid, which Hyperliquid natively wouldn't have without the builder code apps, because of course Phantom reaches people that Hyperliquid can't reach. So we have here the CoinMarketMan tracker where I can look it up and also see some nice data of like what are the people trading on Phantom, what are the like profitable traders. And besides CoinMarketMan, if you're like more maybe in a BD role for one of those builder code apps, or you want to check out maybe how those builder code apps are competing for users or which users are sticking, you can see on here on Flowscan XYZ, they have a different dashboard for you where you can really go deep and check the builder intelligence and see, for example, on Phantom, see not just the revenue, but also like the user retention in weekly cohorts. You can even do it revenue weighted to see like which cohorts are bringing the most revenue. You can see the activity heat map, also kind of a nice user cohort analysis to see, okay, which products, which builder codes has which kind of users. So like profit centers you can see for Phantom and also compare this to others. So a lot of nice data. And that's like one part why I love Hyperliquid so much. You have all those nice tool builders. They put it out there. So Flowscan doesn't charge any money. HyperTracker doesn't charge any money. Like all the tool builders, they could charge money for access, but they just don't. And that's also part of the Hyperliquid ethos to build great stuff, put it out there, and also why I'm doing this video. Just like do cool stuff and put it out there, and yeah, support people that are doing cool stuff on Hyperliquid. So that's enough about builder codes. If you want to build, I think it's a really, really good idea to build on Hyperliquid. Either if you already have an app with distribution, you can just integrate builder codes. So Nikita from X, if you're seeing this, if X wants to integrate perps, it's a good idea to just use builder codes. You don't need to build a complete perp text backend yourself. But also if you're not X, if you just maybe independent app developer and building some special market or optimizing for one regional market, it's a good idea to just integrate builder codes. And also if you want to go beyond builder codes and build your own HyperEVM application, it's a good idea to do that. You should know that it's quite difficult to build on HyperEVM or Hyperliquid in general compared to maybe other ecosystems, because there is no big ecosystem fund. But if you still need help, there are ways to get funding. So there are many Hyperliquid angels, basically people that got the big Hyperliquid airdrop that now are happy to invest in the Hyperliquid ecosystem. We also have a lot of VCs actively investing in the HL ecosystem. US VCs also as VCs in Asia. So if your product is interesting, you should be able to get funding from those parties. Even if you don't need funding, I would suggest to attend the HYPERCORE events. So there are a lot of local events in different cities and different communities organizing those events. So you have Hyperliquid Germany doing events in Germany, where I'm putting some of my time in. You have, of course, in Asia, you have Hyperliquid Singapore, you have Hyperliquid Thailand, Hyperliquid Indonesia. In the US, you have Hyperliquid USA, we have Hyperliquid Italy in Europe, and Hyperliquid France. Of course, Germany I just mentioned. Yeah, so Nigeria, I think, also has a Hyperliquid community. So there are many cool events coming up. Just attend those, and maybe you will find your next co-founder or your like first users that can give you feedback. So always a cool place to check out. And if you're not sure what you want to build, I think the hackathons are a cool idea to just play around with the Hyperliquid opportunities and maybe win some prizes. So yeah, there are many hackathons for Hyperliquid where you can just test it out, and maybe you find also a cool product idea or get familiar with how to build on Hyperliquid. Let's keep going with HIP-3. I teased you enough about HIP-3. Let's talk about it. So basically, for those of you that don't know, HIP-3 enables us or allows everybody to launch their own perp product on Hyperliquid. All you need is 500k hype. I know that's a lot, but there are also ways to solve this. And if you stake the 500k hype, this used to be 1 million hype, so it went down to 500k. Maybe it will go down even further in the future, but right now it's 500k hype you need to stake to launch markets for like perp markets on hl.xyz. You get to set the fees and also set the oracle, and yeah, basically make money from that. The reason why we have this staking requirement is basically to solve for bad actors. So if there would be any oracle issue or any like price manipulation, there's the risk that this 500k hype that you have to stake that gets slashed. And also important, this is burned. So this is done. If it's slashed, it's not distributed to other stakers. No, it's just burned. So one thing I want to share with you, I got a nice quote from Compute Index. This puts it kind of in perspective why HIP-3 is so important. Before HIP-3, launching a new market for a new commodity could take years and hundreds of millions of dollars. With Hyperliquid, anyone can deploy new markets and unlock true price discovery for assets that haven't yet been financialized. And that's why I'm so bullish on HIP. We've seen a lot of HIP-3 stuff right now where we've seen like the obvious things like stocks and different commodities coming on chain, but that's just the beginning. Like there's so much more to come. 3 is why we believe Hyperliquid is the path to an open financial system. Liquidity and applications compound on one on-chain venue, so compute can trade like any other real asset at the speed of builders, not gatekeepers. That quote is by Tanisha Basan, the co-founder from Global Compute Index, and they are like one of the interesting products coming up on HIP-3. Right now, the state of HIP-3 is that we have 7 builders already. Those 7 builders locked 3.5 million of hype, basically forever, because if you want to deploy HIP-3 markets, you need to stake the 500 hype. I also put here HIP-3 is an important node for Hyperliquid. Why is that? Because even, and we've seen this on the user numbers before, even if the crypto volume goes down, HIP-3 volume is pretty sticky right now. So people maybe don't trade that much Bitcoin or ETH right now, but they trade oil and they trade stocks and they do it on Hyperliquid. And this is really important because we've seen big successes already. We have also the biggest companies in the world basically bidding and investing into companies that are deploying HIP-3 markets. Tether just invested or partnered with Dreamcash to put on basically any market versus USDT. And yeah, we have about 3 billion in 24-hour volume. Now on the weekend, it's a bit lower, but usually about 3 billion. And the big moment where people started to realize how important HIP-3 is was at one point the first run-up with silver. We have seen that here Shonda did a great deep dive in the silver microstructure, Hyperliquid versus CME. And we had this nice comparison that the Hyperliquid HIP-3 silver markets have been very efficient and captured a lot of the volume that happened on silver. I think it was about 2% of global silver volume, which is kind of crazy because, HIP-3 is, I think, about 6 months old, so pretty new. So already a lot of interest. So the silver thing was the first big moment where people realized, okay, HIP-3 is important. And now what we've seen just last weekend was when the war started between Iran and Israel and the USA, and the oil prices went up a lot. But of course, on a weekend, you aren't able to trade it. So what happened? People started to trade it on markets XYZ, which is one of the HIP-3 deployers where you can trade gold and oil 24/7. While the Iran strike happened, nobody was able to trade oil if you are not using Hyperliquid. So that was when Bloomberg also did the article on this topic. And I think that's we are in this interesting time where more people realize, okay, this isn't just a nice feature, but that's here to stay and to grow even further. Quick overview on the builder situation. We have right now those different builders, but they're coming a lot of other builders. So TradeX was said is by far the biggest builder right now. They have the largest stock and commodity selection. Then we have ventures where you can basically trade pre-IPO companies like SpaceX, OpenAI, and Anthropic. And they also now did different baskets. They have a nuclear basket, a defense basket, a biotech basket, so stuff like that. On Felix, you can trade commodities and DeFi, and Kinetic Markets is also enables you to trade commodities, but also bonds and indices, and also energy. For example, Hyena is the Ethena-backed builder, HIP-3 builder, where you can basically trade a lot of crypto versus USDE. And Dreamcash is the mobile first trading app, so you trade it on the go. And now they partnered with Tether, so you can have the USDT pairs on Dreamcash. So that's for HIP-3 builders. For the competition, there was some people saying it's not good that it's so fragmented, that you have a Meta versus USDT, but also Meta versus USDC. And you can also see always the kind of the deployer. So Dreamcash, XYZ, Felix, KAM is Kinetic Markets, but that's a good thing. We need the competition because this will always improve the product for the end user. So just like you have stocks on different exchanges, if you check your Interactive Broker account and search for maybe Meta stock, you also get to pick on which exchange you want to buy it. It's similar with HIP-3 markets, and all of those are competing for volume for users, which makes it better. It makes their product better, and we as users benefit because fees will get lower and stuff like that. Also, you can see here, you can trade all HIP-3 markets directly on Hyperliquid. You don't need to use the native platforms like markets.xyz or trade.xyz. But if you're farming the points, it's still a good idea to trade on the native platforms compared to Hyperliquid platform that gives you all the same markets. So the tickers burn hype. I just told you that with every HIP-3 ticker that is bought, hype gets burned, and we get basically new markets daily. So this is one example, uranium. It's a while back when TradeX was listed uranium, but this idea, Hyperliquid, the blockchain to household finance, I think this HIP feature is one of the biggest unlocks for this to actually become a reality. Because if you go to Hyperliquid, there is not that much left that you can't trade on Hyperliquid. We have all crypto, like most big crypto stuff. We have gold, we have silver, we have different commodities, we have stocks, we have even ETFs. If you check here, you can, where was it? We have like South Korea ETF that you can trade. So there's so much on here. You have USDE, JPY, so even can trade Forex. So there's not that much left, honestly, for HIP-3 markets to be listed for like the usual stuff. And that's where it will get interesting in the future. The future for HIP-3 is the markets that aren't financialized already. Hyperliquid, I would say right now is probably 90% there where you can say, okay, all the financial products that already exist will be on Hyperliquid. So there is some niche stuff that's still not there, but like for the most part, you have stocks, you have commodities, you have crypto, you have different ETFs, you have even pre-IPO stuff, all that you can do on Hyperliquid already. But now the question is, okay, what's next? And the future for HIP is financializing products that haven't been financialized before. One of those is Global Compute Index. What they are doing is basically building a perp market for global compute. AI companies right now, they don't really have a way to hedge their spending on GPUs. And what Global Compute Index is doing, they build an index around different GPUs, for example, like 800 from NVIDIA, and build a contract for you that makes it easy to kind of trade a perp on the pricing of that GPU. And you can see also other potential markets are like high value collectibles, real estate indices, carbon credits, prediction markets, stuff like that. And also one other interesting three market is things.xyz. They are testnet right now, but I think it's also a nice example of what this HIP-3 stuff enables. You can trade right now this is testnet only, but you will be able to trade the weather, like the global warming index, stuff like Hyper, like the floor price of the Hyper NFT, best that the red line, like it's basically a weapon for the CS2 skin. So if you're into trading CS skins, you can also do this with the HIP-3 market. This is testnet, but I mean, it's a nice example of what's possible with HIP-3. But enough about HIP-3. No, not enough about HIP-3. I still want to share the flywheel, but soon we got to HIP. The HIP-3 flywheel is basically we have builders that deploy markets, then we get more asset selection and innovation, then the new asset attracts new traders. This is what we see right now. Like maybe you don't trade crypto, but you want to trade SpaceX stock. You go to Hyperliquid. Maybe you aren't interested in trading SpaceX, but you want to trade some energy on chain, like because you want to hedge for energy pricing. You can do this on Hyperliquid. So this new volume generates fees. 50% of the fee is shared with builders, and the fees incentivize builders to create even more markets. And the cycle repeats. We have exponential growth, and this rising volume leads to more fees for Hyperliquid as well. Fees will increase the buybacks, and this supports the token price, and the higher token price makes the staking more attractive for new builders. So for the tech and security, I just said that you need to stake 500,000 HYPE. The first three assets are free. There's no auction required. And additional assets, you have the Dutch auction. There's a 7-day unstaking queue. Trading mechanics are right now isolated. Already cross margin is planned, and the sum is already available. 50% fee share for builders, and then you have the full HYPERCORE performance for this. So for the slashing, it's pretty straightforward. Up to 100% slash if you have prolonged downtime, up to 50% for brief network downtime, and up to 20% for performance issue. Slash stake is burned, not redistributed. So if there is any problem with any of the HIP-3 deploys. It will just burn more hype. So conclusion, pretty easy. Hyperliquid is no longer just an exchange. It's the infrastructure layer. We have explosive adoption. That number already is way bigger. Like you can see, it was 25 billion volume in 3 months, but right now we are at over 90 billion already. So growth for HIP-3 pretty insane. So let's talk about HIP-4. So most people aren't familiar with HIP-3, and already HIP-4 is coming. So the speed of Hyperliquid is quite insane. What does HIP-4 mean? It's basically called outcome markets, and it will enable anything beyond perps. So prediction markets, options, insurance, like everything where you can't just put a normal perp, you will be able to use the HIP-4 feature and deploy markets as HIP. I'm quite bullish or interested in what this will enable. Of course, prediction market is the obvious one. Like we've seen Poly market raising at like 20 billion valuation, which is kind of insane. So this HIP-4 feature should add another 20 billion at least to the Hyperliquid valuation. Of course, this is in theory because we don't know how fast HIP will be shipped and how much of like the prediction market share it actually can gain. But I mean, we've seen it with HIP-3 how fast things can grow. So if you are interested with 4, I can highly recommend to check out the research paper by Hyperliquid R. If you go to Hyperliquid R, here we go, collective, and they have done a nice job in explaining the HIP-4 canvas, like the payoff and how it will work for Hyperliquid. So highly recommend to check it out if you want to learn more about HIP-4. Let's keep going with the HYPE token. I want to keep this rather short. I mean, most of you know already, HYPE did the biggest airdrop in history. Fees are burned 24/7. Honestly, it's the best token to own in all of crypto right now. And we've seen this not just by like biggest funds allocating to HYPE, but also by other projects starting to implement similar things that Hyperliquid did. Like we've seen other projects coming up with buyback mechanisms and other like similar ideas to what Hyperliquid is doing. Regarding the potential of the price, I know there's a lot of comparison if like, okay, if HYPE overtakes BNB, it's like a X or something. Honestly, nobody really knows where HYPE can go. I'll just put it here like nobody knows but higher. That's like the short answer. If you maybe, of course, no financial advice. Personally, I hold a big position in HYPE. If you want to buy HYPE, buy HYPE. If you don't, don't. But if you buy HYPE, you should know that you are in good company because right now public vehicles like Purr and Hyperion and others are actively buying HYPE. So basically, maybe if you're familiar with MicroStrategy, what they do with Bitcoin, those public vehicles like the treasury companies, they do the same with HYPE. But the beauty of HYPE is that you actually can do something with it. Yeah, we have seen this, that companies buy HYPE, they stake it, but they also will do some other strategies with it. And right now, Purr is the only digital asset treasury company out there that is profitable. So if you check the Artemis analytics, I can share here, you can see here, they are sitting at 413 million in unrealized P&L. And below that with Hyperion, they're sitting at like 15 million in unrealized P&L. And that's the only 2 companies in like all the digital asset treasury companies that are currently sitting on unrealized gains. Everybody else is sitting on unrealized losses. So quite impressive. If you want to check more data, you can check this Artemis Analytics dashboard, and also HypeStrat, the company where the ticker is Purr. They put out a nice new website where they share like their metrics and their MNAV and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, just check hypestrat.xyz. Let's go with the next one. And here we go for the tools. I showed you some already. I mean, Hyperscreener is kind of my go-to tool right now. So every morning I check like different data on Hyperscreener, just user numbers, user growth, but also like fees, buybacks, everything you can check on here. And yeah, if you follow my Twitter, you can see like the most screenshots I take are from this website. Besides them, you can also check, of course, HyperScan.io for the dashboard. This looks like that. Here you go. You can see like current fees, current spot stables. We're getting closer to the $1 billion in spot stable coins. You can see current TWAPs for Hype, but also other TWAP activities for different markets. And you can see also like the auction prices. So Felix bought the USA 100 ticker for 500 Hype. So we will see a USA 100 perp on from Felix soon. You can see, of course, the different prices, trading tokens. And yeah, that's about it for HyperScan. You can also check staking and other stats. And beyond that, I like the Diva Llama custom dashboard from Patrick Scott. And yeah, he put a really cool dashboard together where you can see like all the core mechanics and metrics, but also like holder revenue, TVL breakdown, different lending protocols on Hyperliquid, perp revenue, all good stuff. So also if I'll find the link to this under the video, and shout out to Patrick for putting this together. Really cool stuff. And beyond that, yeah, I showed you the coin market main HyperTracker for builders, Hype Burn Fun, and Hype Stats. Also really cool if you are into like farming different strategies, finding like a good idea on like what's maybe worth it to farm and whatnot. You can explore that. They have like a cool calculator giving you like an idea of what an airdrop might be worth. Of course, this is a lot of speculation, but great work by Yield Yumi who put this together. Also give him a follow. So there's a lot of great tools on Hyperliquid. Also here, if I didn't mention you, it doesn't mean that your tool isn't good. It just means that there are too many great tools and I just forgot to put your tool on here. Feel free to pitch your tool in the comments below this video. So that's that. We are getting closer. Last one or almost last one. For the research, I just mentioned Hyperliquid R. That's a cool research group started by 4Pillars and GLC Research, and they do a great job putting out those great research papers around everything going on Hyperliquid, around Hyperliquid. So you can see Jake Jawinsky on HPC, like the policy Hyperliquid policy program in the US, like stuff like that. If you want to learn more, just check it out. And also here, Castle Labs, they shared some cool stuff around here as well. So yeah, you will find a lot of cool research on Hyperliquid R.xyz. Be aware that probably your Google or your browser will flag this website as phishing because of the domain. So it's not a phishing domain, just so you should know, because it's very similar to the official Hyperliquid website. So there might be an issue there, but really good for research. Besides those are like Oak Research, they put out great stuff, and also Castle Labs. And I shared with you before, Sean Evans, he did the great research on the silver trade, and also check out his stuff on Twitter, where he just explains a lot of the mechanics on Hyperliquid, also stuff like here comparing Hyperliquid to Robinhood, like their models and like their their complete business ideas, and really cool stuff he puts out. And also, of course, give him a follow. Again, here there's so many cool researchers to follow, and in general, the Hyperliquid ecosystem is just really high quality, what you can read on Twitter and other websites. Also, if you're putting out great content, just put it in the comments. I'm happy to share and repost with others if I find it interesting. So last thing we need to talk about is some critics and thought. For Hyperliquid, I think there's been some fair criticism, which is kind of like understandable, or like where critics have a point. And then you have more this critics of people that maybe missed a big airdrop, or like they're building a competitor. And that's why now they are advocating against Hyperliquid. But yeah, here are some ideas, some points. Also, just what I'm getting on my timeline. So maybe what you're getting is different. So one critic I've seen now, it's not that big anymore, but like in the beginning was that Hyperliquid is not decentralized enough. And to be honest, they have a point there. Hyperliquid isn't very decentralized. There are 30 validators. We have staking with 30 validators. 4 of them are the Hyper Foundation themselves. So yeah, it's not really decentralized. And there's been a lot of like discussion around also the voting a lot around stuff like USDH. But I mean, we will see where this goes. In the past, this helped Hyperliquid to get where they are right now. And I hope we will see more decentralization down the line. But right now, there is not much to argue against the fact that it's not the most decentralized venue to trade out there. But I would say it's a better venue than like Binance or any other of the really centralized entities. Then for the huge team unlocks, there was like a lot of fear, a lot of FUD around the big team unlocks. So if you check for Hyperliquid, you will see some big token unlock on here coming up. But we've seen over the last few months that the actual token unlock was way smaller than anticipated. Like I think you can see here, okay, now they fixed it. The projected unlock was 9 million or almost 10 million hype, so which would be about $300 million. And there was understandably a lot of fear of, oh, now if the team gets $300 million, they will sell the token and nuke the hype price. What is actually happening? Last time, only 173K hype, so $5 million have been unlocked. And those have been either sold OTC, so no price impact, or used for staking. So we have seen no market selling by the team. So I think this FUD is mostly not that relevant anymore, but it would be really good for the team to just make like one announcement of, okay, that's how we do this, and that to just resolve this uncertainty. Because now it's like from month to month of, okay, last month they did 140K, now they did, I think, 123K. What will they do next month? Like on 6th of April, will they unlock more? What will happen? So I think that's the thing people aren't that certain of. But I mean, if you go by the past, you can see that the team way less unlocks than they could have done. So yeah, that's for the fear around the big unlocks. And the last one, I think, was the big regulation in the USA will be an issue. Like, oh, what if they ban perps? So like one of the bull cases for competitors like Lighter was that, hey, they have all the lobby, they have Founders Fund and Coinbase and whatever as investors. Yeah, this nice thing now is that Hyperliquid went on and put on this Hyperliquid Policy Center, also funded it with 1 million hype tokens. So we have at least some lobbyism for hype as well in the USA. And we have seen this also already being beneficial. There have been rumors that in the US there will be regulation or like approval for perp products quite soon. So we'll see where this goes. But overall, I think this FUD is kind of out the window also. So last things to talk about is the competition. I didn't change this sheet. It's still the same sheet to the first version I did of the video, because it's still what competition. You can replicate the tech. You can try to replicate the tech, but you can't replicate the ethos. And still, Hyperliquid is, in my opinion, the strongest ethos in crypto right now. Yeah. And so, conclusion, no one has enough hype. We are still really early, and thank you for watching. Comment your questions and feedback. And yeah, I'm looking forward to do the next version of this in a few months.